So very soon the internet's going to be flooded with videos talking about the Creality K2. But before you get too excited, just hear me out. This is the Creality K1C. Now Creality's marketing says that the C stands for carbon fiber, but if they were being honest, they would have named this machine the K1.5, because this machine was supposed to be the answer to all the issues that they have with the original K1 series launch. So on the wall behind me, there's more than a handful of K1Cs. And this can mislead people into thinking that I just really love these machines. But the answer is I don't. So why do I have all these K1Cs? Honestly, I'm just an idiot. Now, in between the launch of the K1s and the K1Cs, Creality had their fair share of problems to solve. While these problems were mostly hardware-related issues, they also had issues relating to quality control. Now, when we talk about the hardware issues, we're talking about issues with the nozzle, the hot end, the extruder, the pulleys, the Z-screws, the leveling of the bed, the warping of the bed, and even problems Creality has yet to even address. Problems such as the MCU overheating if you live in a warmer environment. Now, with all the problems left by Creality in the K1 and the K1C, I haven't seen a single issue that hasn't been picked up by some member of the 3D printing community. I've seen a mod to replace every single part of this machine outside of the frame itself. Now, I don't have a K2, so I can't just start printing with it and tell you how I feel about it. But the people that do have a K2 are under a content embargo, so they can't really say anything. Now, why does a company put a content embargo on a new product? It doesn't exactly inspire confidence. What they should be doing is allowing content creators to get out there and push pre-sales for this new product, but they're not doing that. So you have to ask yourself, why isn't Creality confident in the K2 printers? What we can do is take an honest look at where Creality is today with the K1 and the K1C. Now, if you've been in the community for more than 5 minutes, you would have seen the countless posts on bed warping and bed leveling. And I'll just go ahead and put those right here. And that's for two reasons. One reason is it's not really a good design, and the other reason is quality control. Now, bed warping and bed leveling are two completely different issues. One can be attributed to bad design, and the other can be attributed to bad design and bad quality control. The way the K1 machines are shipped is the bed is lowered all the way to the bottom of the frame, and they put shipping screws in. Once the shipping screws are put in, then they put on the belts for the Z screws and they tighten it down. There's no real way to make sure that these Z screws are in alignment with each other. So when it comes to bed level, we're not only dealing with bad design, but also bad quality control. The thousands of printers out there where the Z screws are nowhere near alignment, and the tolerances aren't even close to anything required for automatic bed leveling to take place. So since we're down here and we're talking about quality control, let me just point this out. Out of 6 of my K1Cs, there wasn't a single one that came from the factory without a quality control issue. And on this, we can go ahead and point one out right now. On this belt tensioner, there's supposed to be 2 screws right here, but there's only one, and there should be one right here. Now, one of the mods that I've seen in the community is people tend to go and get heat sinks and put it on all these little chips, hoping that it will help cool the MCU down in hotter climates. Now, I don't know how much the community mod for putting heat sinks all over your MCU actually helps, but we can also notice that the MCU shares the bottom chamber with the power supply. Now, that's not uncommon. The issue with the K1 series machines is this is the only fan in the bottom plates, leading to the MCU and the power supply to build up temperature, leading to the MCU to heat up and overheat in hotter climates. Now again, the bottom fan issue is another issue that the community solved. There's mods all over printables and other sites for upgraded fan ports on the bottom cover. So moving back up top, let's go ahead and talk about the bed for a second. Another issue with quality control, and I'll put the picture here, is when these machines were shipped to me, I not only had one, but I had 2 machines that had problems with the mounting of the load cells. So here's that picture now. You can see that one of the load cells on one of the machines was completely mal-screwed on one of the plates. So this is a major problem because load cells are not only the way the printer generates a mesh, but it's also the way the printer performs automatic bed leveling. So if the load cells themselves have issues being screwed into the platform correctly, then you're never going to get an accurate mesh or an accurate way to automatically bed level. And you're going to have printing problems nonstop. So this is the reason that not only myself, but several other members of the community have begun to put aftermarket probes on their K1 series machines, again addressing an issue that Creality has left with poor design and poor quality control. So since we're on the topic of bed probing and load cells, Creality knew after the K1 that they had an issue with the nozzle having filament on it. When the nozzle has filament on it, it leads to inaccurate bed probing because the filament can be stuck to the tip of the nozzle even if they try to heat the nozzle up and press it down. This is one of the reasons for the K1C they added this nozzle wiper. But you can see it's a last minute implementation and they couldn't even put it on right. This is the original plate that came with this K1C. So now let's talk about the extruder. Even with the upgraded extruder for the K1C, we still have issues with filament getting clogged, jammed, or breaking off inside the extruder. Not only that, there's still issues with the gears inside the extruder, with the gears becoming misaligned or grinding against each other or just breaking altogether. Now keep in mind that the Creality K2's color system is going to have quite a few gears in it. And if Creality can't get the simple gears in the extruder right, how much faith should we have in the color system? Now sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between cutting corners and bad design. And that's the case when it comes to the filters on the K1 series machines. Now, as you can see on the back filter for the K1 series, this isn't exactly going to filter anything. And I really hope that you're comfortable with smelling whatever fumes from filament that you want to print. And again, I haven't decided. Tell me, is this bad design or is this just Creality cutting corners and saving total cost for their bill of materials? So let's go ahead and talk about the quick swap nozzle that Creality markets for the K1C. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Creality's own YouTube video and put it over here and speed it up. And I want you to tell me in the comments if that's a quick swap nozzle, because I don't think it is. Not only do I think this is deceptive marketing, I think it's completely dishonest from Creality to try to market a printer as having a quick swap nozzle when it absolutely does not. So in no way can Creality actively claim that this is a quick swap nozzle when their own YouTube video requires that users disassemble their tool head to change the nozzle. It's a deceptive practice, and we can outright say that Creality is straight lying to customers when they market these printers. Now I could stand here and talk to you about the issues with Creality in the K1 series for hours, but instead I'll just tell you, out of the box, 4 out of 6 printers had issues with the firmware where I kept getting errors where the machines wouldn't print until I troubleshooted the machines. Now one of the issues that I had out of the box was a movement not smooth issue, where every time I would go to home, the printer would immediately have an error saying movement not smooth. After further inspection, I found out that some of the tape that holds the cable tight against the frame was actually on the lead screw. And every time the bed would move up and down, there'd be friction and it would get caught on that tape, creating an issue with the firmware where it would say movement not smooth and it would halt the process. So let's talk about the AI camera and tell me, what exactly does this mean? Because in my experience, the camera doesn't alert me or send me any notifications when anything's going wrong inside the printer. I can have filament all over the place and just stringing spaghetti, and the printer doesn't notify me or do anything. So is the words AI camera just another marketing ploy, just like the quick swap nozzle? So since we're talking about deceptive marketing, let's talk about the way Creality actually advertises these machines. The K1 series is advertised as running Klipper, but the truth is Creality has taken Klipper, ripped out anything of use, locked you out, put their own face on it, and called it Creality OS. To get any control for the Klipper that's been advertised, you need to completely root the machine and put custom firmware on it. My favorite being SimpleAF by PellCorp. I'll have that in the description in case you have a K1 machine and want to give it a shot. But again, this is another big example of Creality just using deceptive marketing practices, selling printers on features that just aren't true. So what does this have to do with the Creality K2? Well, as a company, we can get a good idea of their future by their behavior today. And the fact is, Creality is not only plagued with design issues, but cutting corners, quality control, and the worst off, deceptive marketing. In truth, Creality is racing against Bamboo, who is steadily increasing their market share and popularity in the 3D printing community. Not only that, Bamboo is on track to become the first company to ever create an appliance-ready 3D printer. Now, there's no secret that the hot topic of the 3D printing community is color changing systems. This is incredibly evident when it comes to the AMS system of Bamboo, and Creality knows this. And the issue is they are trying to race to the top. But as Creality is trying to race to the top, they are going to nosedive into the bottom with their practices and behavior. Now, I know that a lot of the individuals that work in corporations get excited about products and they absolutely throw their heart and soul into the things that they're working on, and they try to be proud and they try to make great products. But as a company, Creality is not a company that I actually trust. So for me, I'm not interested in the K2, and I'm not interested in anything Creality is going to release in the next while. And hopefully I am wrong, but I don't think I am. I have zero faith that Creality is going to release this printer without the community suffering a litany of issues. Now, I don't hate Creality. I just don't trust them. And I really do hope I'm wrong. I hope that the people that buy these printers and the community don't have to suffer the litany of issues that I believe is going to come with the launch of the K2.